think we're live, huh?
Yeah, we're live.
Hello and welcome to another episode from sunny Las Vegas.
Yeah, episode number 4. No,
Yeah.
4, 5, 4.
Number 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subject of today, the topic is...
Yes. Are you trying to match or resist and react to your parents' relationship in your own relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. And
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of people try to create a better relationship in their life, thinking that if they have something, they are in resistance to their parents' relationship, or they resist to their parents' relationship, or they align and agree with it. This is how they're going to create a good relationship. Yeah, and
yeah, I think I tend to compare our relationship, and with other things around me, like other relationships, and one that's really close to all of us probably is our parents' relationship. So we can see how we have tendencies to do certain things or say certain things that were programmed in us from our lineage, our parents and their parents. And I guess it's like, instead of trying to avoid that, like, oh, that's like my dad would do, or that's, I can see my mom in this, coming from a different space and trying to create, well, not trying, but creating your relationship from the perspective of not having conclusion of what our relationship is, number one, and not comparing so much to other relationships that you may be aware of.
yeah, and are you creating your relationship from someone else's point of view?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing too. I know that our relationship is so different than what I lived before and
Yeah.
what my family around me lives. And at the beginning, I remember I was trying to justify and I was trying to hide stuff from them because, hey, this is so different. And I felt almost like not guilty, but I felt weird to have that kind of relationship where it was working for us. It works for us.
Yes.
That kind of relationship where it doesn't exist anywhere around us. That's the thing. Are you ready to choose a relationship that works for you and that doesn't exist in your parents, in your family, in your friends? People don't have that kind of relationship.
Right.
And when I say that, it can be something as simple as to go to the movie alone.
Right.
How many people won't allow themselves to choose what they desire, or they will sacrifice, I will say, themselves, their desire, because it doesn't correspond to what a relationship is supposed to be. So how many definitions do you have of what is a relationship, and how much you try to align and agree with this definition? So are you ready to let it go now? To destroy and uncreate all that? Oh, yeah, right and wrong, about but all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yeah, it's like Edith was saying, it's coming from a place of just really following what's light and not comparing to my past or relationships I've seen in the past, but just following the energy of, oh, this feels like could be fun, or this feels light to me to do or to explore, and not coming from a place of conclusion about what a relationship is. Again, just really coming to a place of just, I wonder, asking questions, and I wonder what would create more for our relationship, and exploring those avenues.
Yeah, and do you include yourself in your relationship, or do you have some kind of principle that guide you of how you are supposed to be in your relationship? Well, does that work for you? And yeah,
Right.
and what if you can create your relationship in every moment? Like, yeah, one day you desire to do something, and your partner doesn't want to do it, or he wants to do it. Yeah, what if it's about creating it every 10 seconds? It doesn't have to be something very solid and very, and this is how we're going to behave right now with all that, but just allow yourself for the next 10 seconds what will work out for you in your life, and would that be a contribution to your relationship as well? Yeah, what if by choosing what creates more what contributes to your life, would that contribute? This isn't a question I invite you to ask. Would that, by choosing this, would that create the relationship that I desire?
Yeah.
Or would that contribute to our relationship? And really, it's about receiving the awareness of that. It's not about what you think. It's not about, it's about perceiving the possibility here. What would that create from a space of curiosity, and lower your barriers down and receive what it will create energetically.
Yeah. And not making yourself wrong for choosing what you desire. Like yesterday, funny example for me, Edith was going to a class, and she said, "Hey, Miles, can I borrow your yoga mat?" I was like, my first response was like, "I'd rather you not," and because it's like a yoga mat it's a really nice yoga mat. It's like the creme de la creme yoga mat. And for some reason, I just reacted. It's like, "No, I'd rather you not." And I just like in that moment, I made myself wrong for making that choice. And then I was like, well, that's what I chose. You know, I'm just, I guess, attached to the yoga mat. So I felt wrong for saying that, but it was just like, well, that's what I chose in that moment, and just go with it, you know. And so, yeah,
cool. That's a great example.
Yeah.
That's a great example, and yeah, it's so interesting for me when you said no.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that comes up, and I wonder, because we are so connected and aware of the other person energy. For me, it was like, wow, this is cheap. This is cheap. And then I was like, well, hey, he has the choice. It's his. So, and for me, it was like, wow, I have this two different kind of point of view here. What if all of that was just a point of view of mine?
Yeah.
And well, can I allow these 2 points of view be in my universe? I said, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, and just by allowing me to just allow these two things to be in my universe, I felt so much better with myself. Yeah, what if it's about that? What if it's about, as we said yesterday, being an allowance of yourself and the other person, and being allowance of your point of view with no point of view about the point of view you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting, because I'm really not attached to that yoga mat, but I was in that moment. I'm just like, I wanted to protect it or keep it or like make it sacred because it was something I wanted for a long time, and I paid a lot of money for it, and I don't use it currently right now. It just sits in the closet. And then it was just like, oh, yeah, of course you can borrow it, but then it was just, I had this resistance to it. It's like, no, I want to keep it safe, you know. So it's you know, whatever, still working out my stuff like everyone else maybe.
Yeah, and what if your relationship doesn't have to be perfect?
Exactly.
How much I try to create a relationship where everything has to be perfect, and what if it's about just being an allowance and of every moment, and being allowance of you being the allowance of the other person, and would that create a different relationship? Yeah, big time, because how many people are in that kind of relationship where they are in allowance of them and they are in the allowance of the other person? And are you ready to create this new possibility, one for you and for your relationship and for others as well? Because when we begin to choose these things, we begin to vibrate to a certain level, and people will recognize that in your relationship, or will recognize that in your energy about you and the relationship, the person you're with. And yeah, what if it's about, are you ready to choose? And here, this is the word choose something different. There's a big plane.
It's Vegas.
Yeah, it's Vegas.
Number one destination in the world, in the country.
So are you ready to choose? It's really here, choose, it's a verb of action. It's a verb energetically where we have to allow ourselves to be in a new space. Are you ready to choose a new space where you live your life, you live your every moment of your life in a different space?
Yeah, and start small. Don't try to like one day wake up like, today I'm going to like totally transform my life, and put yourself on that pressure. And just choose something small and little that you can choose for yourself. Like something that you like for me yesterday, choosing not to share my yoga mat with it, you know, just like it was whatever it was. I made that choice, and so yeah, pick something small that doesn't like put so much pressure on yourself, and build on that.
Yeah, and it can be something small, and sometimes maybe you'll be ready
Yeah,
to choose something that is bigger. too.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're the one who's choosing.
Mhm.
You're the one who is the potent person here that can transform your life and your relationships as well. Yeah. So what if it's possible for you to create a greater relationship than other than reacting or resisting or being in alignment and agreement with your parents'
Yep.
relationship?
Yep.
And what if this is where you will allow yourself to become aware of who you are at every moment? And what if this is about a new relationship? Because I believe what creates so much annoyance, do we say that in English?
Mhm.
Annoyance in a relationship, it's always choosing the same kind of energy, to always choosing the same kind of behavior, functioning from the same kind of
Patterns or something.
patterns, thoughts, and that. And what if by allowing you to be true to yourself, okay, what do I really desire today? And when I asked yesterday Miles about his mattress, I was so surprised about his mat. Yeah. I was so surprised because usually it's not his kind of response.
Right.
But and that was so cool for me to be in that space, to allow myself to, well, first, this is cheap, to be in judgment of him, because that's the thing too. Well, we can talk about that in another one, about being in the judgment of the other person, and then to allow myself to, because usually I can be so, oh, you judge him, it's not right, and you don't have to judge him, and then came up this thing about, well, it's his, he can choose for himself, and to allow all of that to be in my space was, yeah, created so much more lightness for me. And yeah, so are you ready to have this weird relationship where there's no good or bad, but just what is?
Yeah.
And that's the invitation.
Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you again very soon.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Ciao.